And we are gonna meet tonight on several important issues, so looks like a fun evening, and I appreciate all of you for being here and joining in on the conversation and on the issues that our city faces. So first off, can I please have a roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Trujillo,
Present.
Chair Trujillo, I mean, sorry.
Present.
Commissioner Salazar,
Present.
Commissioner Bustos. Present. Commissioner Martinez,
Present.
Commissioner Gwynn. Commissioner Borrego,
Present.
Commissioner Chavez. Please excuse, Commissioner Chief.
I'm sorry? Yes, yes.
Thank you. You have a forum, Mr.
Would y'all stand for the pledge of allegiance and please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we approve the agenda, I would like to make one change. I'd like to move item 5, matter from the commission, right before action items of business. Can I open to do that? You want to move it down?
You want to move it down?
He's supposed to stay with it. Yeah. Yeah. Second. Okay. All in favor? Can we do an aye vote?
Aye.
So we move that down. Okay. So, we have a lot of folks here tonight, you can see, very exciting. So we're going to limit our public comments to 2 minutes. And those will be in charge of people talking time, okay? If you're here for something in regards to the public hearing, then you can wait to speak then. If you're here to speak on anything else, and you have time now to speak, so you can sign up on it.
You can't, are you scheduled with attendance? Oh, no, it's just your.
Okay, come in. Hold up here. So let's take a vote on the agenda. Sorry about that, please.
Yes, sir.
You want to take a vote?
Chairman Trujillo, only one, excuse me, Chairman Trujillo, only one change from staff. In one of the staff reports, I just want to bring your attention to the Mr. Fulgenzi's staff report. There is one typo in the staff recommendations of approval. It says conditions of a special use permit. It is conditions of the preliminary plat that was approved. So just bear that in mind when reviewing that case. That's my only change.
Thank you. So we make that change.
We'll make that change, we'll make the change in the minutes, yes, sir. Thanks, let me go back.
Motion to the agenda.
I have a motion from before,
No, I guess you did do it. I'm wrong.
oh, but
Sure.
okay, yeah, let's get a new motion.
Motion to approve the agenda.
So, with the change, but
Ms. Green? You want to do a roll call vote?
Yes. Chair Trujillo,
For the vote for the agenda.
Commissioner Salazar,
To approve.
Commissioner Bustos,
yes.
Commissioner Martinez,
Approval.
Commissioner Gwynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Borrego,
Or.
motion passes.
So, public comments, business from visitors, you'll have 2 minutes if you've signed up on the sheet. If not, you can sign up now and, please, raise your hand. You can state your name and come to the podium. Any business from visitors? Yes, sir.
My name is Jeff Archuleta. I would like us to motion to reschedule this first item agenda based off of the property not being posted properly for the public meeting. So I think it's a disadvantage to the neighbors that have, we're not aware of the system.
Which item is that, sir?
It's for the property, the Mr. Jensen. It's posted, it wasn't posted in the middle of San Pedro area. And it's posted on the wrong piece of property up on the main highway. So,
Staff, if I may, Commissioner. So we typically choose our posting site by the most visible point to the property. The address to the property, it does have easement through Riverside Drive. So Riverside Drive is an appropriate place to place it because it does have the most visibility to
understood,
the
but
public.
It's not posted in front of the property that's in question and wanting to develop. It's posted on a different piece of property. They should get some T-posts and post it in front of their property. To not mislead people, because I've had people ask me, what are they gonna do in front of your property? Which I have a little piece that's in front of or behind where this is posted. So people think something's gonna happen on the empty lot right in front of my property.
So let me just clarify, so Rebecca, are they be posted according to the law, or legal?
We're legal.
So Ms. Burkett, I'm sorry about that, there was confusion for you, but they follow strict posting guidelines, to make sure we're compliant with the law and with the rules.
Commissioner,
That happened to my property too. I'm also on the agenda and I called progress.
Mhm.
Asked them for exactly what you mentioned, that it's gotta be visible on the street. Or it's
Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
we typically choose the most populous thoroughfare as our site of advertisement for the most visibility.
So it doesn't have to be on the particular piece of property. Rebecca?
So it currently is, so there's an easement to the property and there was no place to stake it. So that was what we decided to post it as. We've posted our last 3 postings there.
But everybody that was supposed to be noticed, received notice.
Yes.
in the mail?
Yes.
Okay. So besides the sign, there were also sent out letters. Any other comments from the public?
I just wanted to. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yes.
You go ahead.
Want to talk about the
Who sent waiting for us?
Mike Archuleta,
Thank you, Mike.
want to talk about special use permit given to Bartolo and Sandra Langrand. When planning and zoning approved the permit, special use permit, there was a condition of approval. Okay, and this is a land grant, not the GM material. And they have not, the land grant has not complied with conditions of approval. Okay, there's, we're supposed to have a meeting in 6 months. 6 months have gone by, there's been no meeting that I know. The waddles, the silk, the fences, all that, it's only been done on a very small portion of the property. Okay, the land grant requested that everything be leveled along the highway. And that's not what the mining operation is, but that's what the dust dropping. We do not have a problem with the crusher in the back. Okay, but what the land grant has done to all the property in the front is what the problem is. I'm sure you all read the article and saw the photos and stuff. That almost a weekly. There's dirt in everybody's house, on their car, just a never ending thing. And the land grant really hasn't done much. We'd like to just get them to comply with what they had promised. Okay, I know Mr. Martinez is here now, but Chris Roybal is the president of the land grant and the permit is under his name. And I don't see Mr. Roybal here. So something needs to be done. And I just want to be clear, we don't want to shut the gravel operation down. We're not opposed to that. But we are opposed to the dust that the land grant created. And we'd like to see you guys address it. For 20 years, the city has turned a blind eye to the land. They've allowed them to operate without a special use permit. They've ignored cease and desist letters. They do whatever they want. And we'd like to see that change.
So, before I ask our director to have some input here, I'd like to say the both of them is what it's in their mind, okay? So they are on a special use permit. So every 5 years they get renewed. So all I can say is they continue to operate incorrectly. I would encourage you to keep up on that, and when that 5-year time frame comes around, I hope you come forward with the body and hears it.
Okay,
They'll be here, maybe they won't be, right?
their permit expired in October of 2020. Okay. And they continue to operate until they got the new permit in February of 23. So do they operate without a permit? Absolutely. When we've requested the code enforcement reports, we haven't gotten anything. We've requested a copy of the application done by President of Lands Grant. We haven't gotten anything. I don't know why. I would like to know, maybe we were asking the wrong person, and if we are, let us know who we can talk to.
Rebecca, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Trujillo. So if you would like to, there is a process in which you can request information from the planning office. It's called an Inspections of Public Records Act. You can file that through the clerk's office for those reports. As far as code enforcement reports go, we do have a file, which you can IPRA, that would be available, and is available to the public through the clerk's office, through that filing process, as well as those minutes and any other reports that you are looking for. So that is something that you can do. Debbie Garcia is the contact for that.
People requested that weeks ago and they haven't received it.
Yes, they have.
Oh, they did get it? Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much. Any other matters from the public?
I'll let them sign in.
Yeah,
Commissioner,
by all means.
if I may. Yes, I'm sorry, guys.
He's on the
It's
agenda.
on the agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, then I'll just wait for that. That'll be fine. Yeah, okay. Sorry, guys.
You're next.
Any other comments from the public? If not, then we're going to go to item number 7, update from special use permit holder, Jim Sand and Gravel. So, Director, how would you like to start this off with Stephanie from your side or from Senator?
So this came in prior to my time at the city of Espanola, so I'm going to invite GM Sand and Gravel up to the podium.
Well, commissioners, thank you for having me. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I need to give an update.
Sir, can you give your name?
Oh, sorry, Gabriel Martinez, Jim Wilson's. We've been in operation for a little over a year now. We got a special use permit. Of course, Mr. Mike, apologize about that confusion, but yeah, of course, we lost the guy that was doing the report to begin with, and then we lost Lou. So it's been kind of a fiasco, but we have been complying with everything that we said we were gonna do. Cat printed out all our reports, have everything here. We're up to date with SWIFT. All of our waddles are done to required by the state. Our air qualities is done required by the state. We actually got reported by somebody, by air quality. SWIFT. So they came out and did a full inspection. They spent the whole day going over the pit. Corps of Engineers, so everything looked good on that, guys. We passed everything with flying colors too, so everything that's going on in the pit is in the up and up. I paved the front roadway to get the dust down, so we eliminated that. We're in the back now. We had, we spent $15,000 in seeding. We seeded everything, of course, and then the rain stopped, but we've been watering and now we got rains coming back. So guys, I think we're on the up and up, and I think that the homeowners are going to be very satisfied here in the future that we're doing the right thing for everybody out there. So I'm open to any questions. I have flyers here, guys. You guys are welcome to them. With all the inspections, all of our water that we put on the keep the dust control down and what we're doing in the back now. So
Any questions from the commissioners?
Mr.
Gabriel Martinez.
Martinez, yeah, I'm sorry, it's been a long day. Anyway, what is your relationship actually with the land grant at this point?
So guys, the land grant has been great, and I do apologize about Chris not being here. He literally got a notice of this meeting 10 minutes before I got here. I mean, guys, it's a season for all of us, you know, we're trying to make this pit work here for the city of Espanola. I've been pulling my hair out, we've been pulling our hair out. It's a lot of work in progress, and Chris, I haven't been the best of contact with him just because we've been so busy this year. But literally, I called him on the way over here. Chris, I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you about this meeting. It's in 10 minutes. And he said, please let me know in the future. I would love to be here. So he's been willing and helpful with everything that we've asked, and I have no issue with the land regulation.
So just for clarification, when we did do the special use permit and as the part that Mr. Archuleta was talking about, it's the responsibility of the land grant, not of GM Emulsion, is that correct?
Yeah, what's gonna be under Jim Pipe?
Or GM pipe? But I mean, you know, the part that's kind of in question that does cause the problems for the neighbors with the dust and everything. They're supposed to take care of it, not you guys, is that correct?
That is correct. We are the tenant. We are the tenant there.
Okay,
And
no,
we
I
are-
just wanted to make sure it's straight, so, if there are complaints in the future, we basically know who to look for.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions from the commission?
I'll just make a comment. I've been there because I bought some of your materials, but
Thank you.
it's a big change from what was there before.
Thank you. And we're working on it, guys.
And I think you are putting a lot of effort into it.
You know, we have good staff and the city's been good to us. Thank you guys. Los Alamos, all the local, the northern communities has been very good and it's been a very challenging. And you know, but I think it's gonna be rewarding for everybody at the end of the day.
So I believe, maybe you can help refresh my memory here, but I believe you were to have neighborhood type meetings using the chambers here every 6 months, is that correct?
That's what Lewis set up and was supposed to follow through and set up those meetings now.
This is why we were written, I mean, I don't know, at the time I was trying to look up on the last. And we met, I think you're like in the 6 months now, that was the
I think we
problem,
closed.
we haven't got any, when Lou left, we didn't get any kind of official letters. You know, they were supposed to say that's what we're required to do, we haven't had no contact, me and Rebecca have been talking now. But we really haven't had any guidance, so everything that we've done has just been, you know, from what we remember from the meeting that we followed up, I mean, everybody's reported us, so I mean, MSHA has been there, I mean, for engineers, commissioners, they were following, we're trying to do the seating, the models are out there, our SWIFT funds are all up to date, and everything is there for the community to see as well. But really, this would have been kind of in the 6 months, I don't know if we're exactly in the 6 months or this is the only time we could have really meet. That's what she had said was, instead of having like an official, this like a meeting with the neighborhood, it's kind of hard to do that, so we would do it at one of the commission meetings, you know, every 6 months, but she's trying to get on the agenda.
We can ask the director, I'm sure you're gonna finalize all those points she's made. And get them on a schedule so we can have them come before, and you have to identify the neighborhoods and come and give us their concerns, it's unfair, because that was one of the conditions of the special permit. And we need to invite, besides the Senate Apple folks, we need to invite, Mr. Ball, whoever represents the land grant, that changes.
Right.
Of the meetings.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, do not apologize to commissioners, I mean, or Rebecca did step into, you know,
Well,
you know,
the planning and zoning city owes the, apology over the year, because you're right, it's been really, a little crazy here. In the last couple of months, but I think, well, it appears and I have confidence that it's really gone on track. Yeah, directed you all, really good things in shape. Shape, so I look forward to the future being a little bit better, especially you also, Mike, with the neighbor. But you know what, you stop falling on deaf ears. And we definitely want to protect the neighborhood from the issues that we need to protect it from.
Mr. Chairman, may I get the name of the city who spoke?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, I'm Michelle Martinez.
Michelle. Thank you.
Yes,
And if I do recall, also there's supposed to be an advertising set up for the. Do you recall?
Mr. Commissioner, I don't recall what I did yesterday, but I will definitely.
Commissioner Trujillo, if I may.
yes.
So with, in regards to the special use permit, for the, sand and gravel pit, if there's any institutional knowledge from the past, please feel free to bring it up to me and we'll certainly integrate that into our future meetings with the community and with the land grant. We definitely want to put it into shape going forward. I'm kind of trying to connect notes and documentation from the previous meeting. So if there is any institutional knowledge or recollection of the discussion that was had that wasn't recorded, that we want to integrate into future future meetings. My cards are up here somewhere. And I'd be happy to talk about that moving forward.
Yes.
My recollection of those meetings is that they did come in February 23. Got their special use permit,
Mhm.
so we are just a little over the 6 months, it should have been in August, but we didn't have any in August. Lee Baker did agree to send it out or post in the Rio Grande Sun that we would have a community meeting regarding the land grant needs and the San Rafael.
Okay.
They were not to be sending out notices themselves. She agreed to do that. And so 6 months from now, we will have to have.
It should be in February,
And we would have the meetings here. In the, and the chambers.
because you, since they did the special use permit in February, so that should be in February.
Yes.
Separate from, like a town hall?
No, it's actually part of our meeting.
Just like now.
And those, that information should also be in the minutes of.
Yeah, it should be in the minutes. I mean, not everything, not everything. Gets recorded, especially if it's, yes.
Well, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner, I did do those minutes, and these are not verbatim minutes.
No, right,
Yeah,
no,
so they may not have every single thing, but I do recall the same discussion you do. But I didn't recall that it was supposed to be part of the commission meeting.
Or do you have anything else from you? Ed?
No, guys, just want to thank you guys for allowing us to do business here in the city of Espanola.
You said you had a handout this week.
And I will back up for each one of you guys. Thank you, and
Thank you for being a business in Espanola. I we have
we appreciate it, guys. We're here, it's just getting better. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, with that, we're going to move on to the next items for consideration. Which would be public hearing.
Thanks you.
So I have to leave this statement to you. The following cases are quasi-judicial in nature, and the hearing will be conducted on the provisions required by the New Mexico Court of Appeals. This includes the identification of parties and swearing in all those who wish to provide testimony. The opportunity of cross-examination to ask questions will be provided to all parties. So I'm going to open the first public hearing to the public hearing 2023-09, rezoning of land. Garen Pagendi, applicant requests approval to change an existing B2 zone parcel to an R6 PUD zone at 610S Riverside Drive, UPC 1047109278500. Before I do that, though, let's make sure and swear in all the parties that are going to speak tonight. So from staff, staff, you want to speak? So basically, you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth.
I swear.
Okay. Applicants, please stand. You're going to speak tonight. Thank you. You swear or affirm that the testimony will give you the truth. Okay, thank you, sir. The neighborhood property owner to receive notice. Would you please stand if you want to speak tonight? No neighborhood. Okay. So are you signing the sheet to speak tonight? Okay. So do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth? Yes. Okay. And then ask the general public wishing to speak to stand, anybody from the general public. Okay, sir, did you sign on the sheet?
Yes, I did.
Okay, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, thank you so much. All right. I also need to ask the council, if anyone here on the council have a conflict of interest or any ex parte communication on this matter? None? Okay. Thank you. All right, so we're going to hear the first case here, public hearing, and I'm going to have the staff to give us your presentation, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Trujillo. I'm going to go ahead. You can see up here, this is our staff report. If for the audience that I know that the commissioners have it in their packets. This is page 18. If that's easier to see. So Garen Fulgenzi is requesting approval for 6 residential buildings within his 6-lot subdivision requiring a rezoning of land. The applicant is requesting a rezone to R6 PUD to allow for residential development at 610 South Riverside Drive, Espanola, New Mexico, 87532. Pursuant to the City of Espanola Code, Chapter 350, Zoning and Development, Chapter 294, subdivision of land in the City of Espanola Municipal Code presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And so I will start going through the findings of fact. This application is made pursuant to the requirements, Chapter 350 of the City of Espanola Municipal Code. That's the planning and zoning element of the code. Legal notice has been made as required by Article 502 by posting meeting notices on site by sending letters to the property owners within a 200-foot radius. Staff members have performed a reasonable inspection of the premises in order to determine that compliance with all land use regulations listed in this ordinance and all other applicable ordinances under Chapter 350 in the City of Espanola Municipal Code, federal and state laws are met. Post inspections may also be performed occasionally to ensure compliance in response to any complaints of a violation of the regulation of this ordinance. The granting of a city permit is not a waiver of other legal requirements. Necessary permits may be needed to meet other regulatory or reviewing agencies and legal requirements by federal, state, county, municipal, and covenants in order to lawfully engage in this land use. The burden is upon the landowner to meet all legal requirements. The property is Zone B2, a general commercial district. This commercial district is extended for the conduct of personal and business services and the general retail business of the community. Persons living in the community and in the surrounding trade territory require direct and frequent access. Traffic generated by these uses will be primarily passenger vehicles. And only those trucks and commercial vehicles required for stocking and delivery of retail goods. The applicant is pursuing an R6 PUD residential compound planned unit development district zone. The R6 PUD district is intended to permit the development of tracts of 5 acres or less in a manner consistent with the existing patterns of the city's compound areas. It is also intended to permit the flexibility for more efficient design and greater intensity of land use. It provides for the elimination of building setbacks where walls or fences enclose the entire tract. Within these walls, it allows for the reduction of minimum lot sizes and the increase of maximum lot coverage, provided the overall density requirements of the underlying zone are not exceeded and open space, public or private, is provided. Examples of the allowed uses in this district are as followed. Site-built single-family dwellings, 2-family dwellings or a duplex, community, municipal, or other buildings, public parks and playgrounds. Notification has been given to both DOT and the mayordomo of the adjacent ditch. The existing site is a 1.5 acre tract. A DRT meeting and a follow-up DRT meeting has been held on behalf of this property. No substantial findings from the DRT would oppose the applicant's request for a change in zoning. The application for this rezone supported by Chapter 404 B5B. The conditions of this property have changed as the front residential building has been parceled off on the riverside end of the property, excluding the egress, and Chapter 405 B5C. A different zone is more likely to meet the goals contained in the comprehensive plan. As the major goals of the comprehensive plan outline infill housing, see attachments 2 and 5. We'll go through those later. This application, huh?
I hear something too. I hear another voice, yeah. Is it feedback? I don't know.
I think we're muted. Okay. Let me know if you hear it again. Okay. This application for a rezone requests support by the policy framework outlined in the Rio Arriba County and the City of Espanola Affordable Housing Plan. That's going to be in attachment 5. We'll go through that here in a minute. Adjacent businesses to the proposed property are China Kitchen and Roadway Inn. A variance for an 8-foot block wall has been granted for this property as previously presented by Mr. Fulgenzi. The proposed ingress will be Riverside Drive and ingress and egress in Middle San Pedro Road. The homes in the subdivision have been proposed to be luxury custom homes angled at the Lannel Employee Market. And so moving on to recommendations. And so in this part of the presentation, this was what I was referring to earlier as changes in the distributed materials. So should the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of this request based on the aforementioned findings of fact, staff recommends that the following conditions of approval be included. Pursuant of this application, Garen Fulgenzi must comply with the existing building requirements put forth by the Construction Industries Division of the State of New Mexico and existing regulations in Chapter 350 of the City of Espanola Municipal Code, as well as any other applicable ordinances within the code, with the exception of the height variance. Under the conditions of approval for not the special use permit, the preliminary plat that was approved, the homes constructed on this subdivision must be site built. Under the recommendations of the wastewater department, the applicant must put in 2 manholes on the street connecting the subdivision. The applicant must work with the wastewater and planning department to complete this. And the applicant must consider traffic patterns pertaining to Riverside Drive present with ingress and egress improvements before the final plat is reviewed. So then I'm just gonna scroll through these attachments here. So you guys are pretty familiar with this property, but for the public that's interested, this is the easement right here, the 30-foot easement that'll be used to access the property. And here's Middle San Pedro, so Riverside and Middle San Pedro. And then here are some photos of the property. This is a view from Middle San Pedro. And then this is the view from Riverside right here. And so attachment 1 just outlines the R6 PUD. I had mentioned that in my staff report already. It's just so you're aware of where it's located in the code. Attachment 2 is the criteria, the review criteria for the official zoning map. So basically the implications of the rezoning of land is that this body makes a recommendation for the rezoning, and it still has to go to the city council there and after. So these are just highlighted portions that I had mentioned in the staff report, changing in conditions, and a different zone is more likely to meet the goals contained in the comprehensive plan. And let's see here. And the zoning serves as an appropriate transition between land uses of higher and lower intensity. The frontage of the property has been granted an easement through Riverside, and it is addressed off Riverside. Formerly, that parcel was all B2 and on the frontage. That lot split took place in March prior to me coming to the city. This is just kind of more subheadings outlined in the review criteria. This is attachment 4 of the comprehensive plan that I referenced, if you guys hadn't had the chance to review. A major component of the comprehensive plan work has been to fully understand the quality of housing and existing house within the city. Mr. Fulgenzi is looking at this area, which is currently under this orange belt. This is our 2017 comprehensive plan. And it just says that it's identified in a challenged area that needs housing improvements. That basically their methodology was, they basically took an inventory of the housing stock and qualified each parts of the city with different ratings. So this property falls into 4 as challenged, will require increased code enforcement efforts as well as proactive efforts by the city to supply low and no interest loans to begin in neighborhood revitalization. This is part of the comprehensive plan as well. And then here's another map that was provided in that plan. And then this one right here was in our housing plan that was produced in, oh, not this one. Take it easy. While many of the tables are unsurprising, a few stand out, the city and are worth giving some attention. In particular, almost 38% of the 45 housing units in the city of Espanola are mobile homes and subject to early obsolescence without significant levels of maintenance and investment. So those tables are listed over here. Less than 1% of the homes in 2015 were built in the last 5 years. This proposal would increase that by 6 units. And then this one is from the Affordable Housing Plan. That is it's the Rio Arriba County Affordable Housing Plan. Only about 22% of the land in the county is privately owned, which limits the availability of the county's communities to grow. Regional growth exists mostly in Espanola, and most of the privately owned and developable land is near or in Espanola. And then here's one of the goals that I had mentioned that was outlined in the Affordable Housing Plan. Promote site-built cluster, higher quality, higher density, and residential infill developments in areas with adequate infrastructure exists or will be provided. This site already has wastewater and water compatible with the developable area. And then I highlighted this other part as part of the Affordable Housing Plan. The Espanola Comprehensive Plan recognizes that housing is a key component of Espanola as a special place. This plan identifies community priorities and recommends investments that will improve the positive contribution that housing makes to the community. Key recommendations are invest in the plaza as a centerpiece of the community. Housing infill can make the plaza a more vibrant place. This kind of goes into more of a neighborhood plan. This side of the city all kind of corresponds to each other. So that was a subheading I recognized in neighborhood distress. As we kind of went through before, the area identified in question is listed as challenged. Housing related findings. Well-maintained homes have a positive effect on the homes surrounding them. Poorly maintained or vacant abandoned homes have the opposite effect. In 2015, almost 38% of the housing units were mobile homes, which need significant maintenance to avoid early obsolescence. And then this is just the correspondence I attached for your review with the DOT and the Mayordomo. And then here are all of his packet materials. So I'll scroll back up to my staff report. Commissioner Trujillo, that concludes my portion of the presentation.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission?
One question, I wasn't quite sure, so I wanted to make sure that basically it's supposed to be 300 feet, the commercial district from the middle of the road onto the property, is that correct?
That's the
So are
existing.
we rezoning everything to the sidewalk? Or are we just rezoning the parcels that he plans to, that Mr. Lindsay wants to build on?
Thank you, Commissioner Bustos, for that question. That's a really good question. So we will only be rezoning the parcel behind it, not the parcel in front.
So
Because
where the house is currently sitting, that will not be rezoned.
that will not be rezoned,
Okay,
just the
that's-
property in question.
1.578.
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear because in a lot of the packet, it seems like, the whole entire tracks would be, well, the front part. That was me.
Yes, that is just the, pardon me, that is just the access easement on the plat.
Any other questions from the commission? So, I'm gonna try and summarize this, because this is a very intricate process, right?
Mhm.
So we have a zone here that is going to build a very nice subdivision of high-end homes in Espanola. They come in and they receive preliminary plat approval. It's on a B2 zone piece of property now that doesn't allow housing. So he's asking for a rezone to R6 so he can build this development. He's going for the R6 PUD. And he's gonna have the complete project enclosed in a wall. We put on one side, sits it all the way around the gates. So he will have a little bit of flexibility in there on the setbacks with this PUD to make sure everything fits comfortably. Is that correct? So after this process, with us, if we vote to approve the zoning request R6, parts of PUD. The recommendation now goes to the city council, who actually votes on the rezone to change the planning and zoning map. Then at that point, Mr. Fulgenzi will feel confident that he can bring in the final plat. And we'll be meeting on all the little intricacies, the nuts and bolts. The plants, the lighting, the sidewalks, the curving gutter, the backyard, the front yards, the side yards. Is that correct? So just so everybody understands the process, so I would be very concerned if I was a neighbor, but I think it's good for you to understand what's happening with this process so far, okay? And Mr. Fulgenzi, you're up next, but thank you for your patience. Okay? So with that, Mr. Fulgenzi, please present the witness.
Thank you, Commissioner. So here again, just to reiterate our program here, I'm Garen Fulgenzi, by the way. We are looking to build 6 custom homes in a gated community. I think the project is good for the community. It'll bring in additional funds, taxes. It'll help the local businesses. I think that area of town could be a nice area where people can walk down to the restaurants down the way to the plaza. And the clientele that we're, I guess, looking at is people that are in the local area that work up in the laboratory areas. That's kind of work. Okay. Nothing's changed on our original. I have some of these for you guys again. Nothing's changed on what we're looking at. We're still gonna do an 8-foot tiered just to cover the hotel area and then scale it back down to a 6-foot. It'll still be a gated community. Once we can seem to get through the possibly get approval, we'd like to engage our engineers and have our planning company go ahead and take care of getting all the nuts and bolts, as you stated, in place with meeting what the city is going to require and the state. There'll be single family residences, average 2,800 square foot homes, and pretty much it.
Thank you, Mr. Fulgenzi. Any questions from the commission, Mr. Fulgenzi? On the rezone process? Any questions from staff? I guess our staff stepped up for the report. We'll let her come back and we'll ask her what you get. Any questions from the neighbors that received notice of Mr. Fulgenzi on the project for the rezone? How about we will ask our director if she has actually any questions, maybe she has, you can get the rest. Yeah, okay. So, of course, listen.
I don't know if you own another piece of land that's up there. Can you bring the first picture that you have on that down? Just trying to come up with something different. It's just a protest right here. I went over there today. And I measured out your entrance, which is about 40 feet instead of 35 feet. But you don't have you have I think
I don't.
somebody took it.
I.
They should do with the clock.
You just have to get longer arms, JD.
The sign, the yellow sign that you have on the highway.
That's on the Quintana property. That's his property. No,
No, you don't.
no, it's on the Quintana property.
You own that piece of land that's
Where the sign is at? No.
that has nothing on it. You don't.
I own it right behind it, but he doesn't own that piece. It's
Who owns that?
Richard Quintana. Richard Quintana. My cousin.
I thought maybe you own that piece of land there. So. If for sale, I want to speak it. No, I know. Okay, that's where the sign is.
Yeah.
That's something I thought maybe that was yours, and I was thinking there was another way to get in the problem.
Yeah, we looked at that as well. It's.
Would that be your, any questions for the?
I think I've asked Mr. Fulgenzi enough.
Okay, so everyone, thank you. At this point in time. Any general public who wishes to speak on behalf of this project, any general public?
On behalf of it's being done right or not?
Any comments from the public?
Okay. Okay, yeah, essentially let that quick one, 803 Middle San Pedro Road. I guess the question that I have is not so much against the project itself, I just want to know what. I think the question was answered by staff that the front guardrail is. Asked, that is 300, that lot split is 300 feet from the main highway.
Mhm.
So we are not rezoning that front. So basically, you're surrounded by B2 properties all the way around. All the other properties are B2. So who complies with the offsets? Do the B2 neighbors have to comply with offsets? Or does Mr. Fulgenzi have to comply with just the R6 property? You have a conflict there, I think, because it's not fair to the neighbor.
Commissioner Trujillo, thank you. I think I can answer that question. So, the B2 overlay was introduced, and there were existing residences there, and there still are now, obviously. And so the properties that do have those, are you referring to setbacks specifically? Is your questions?
The neighbors to Mr. Fulgenzi's property, Mr. Fulgenzi setbacks from the neighbors.
So everyone is required for new development to meet the setbacks that are applicable within their zone. So if your zone's B2, but you don't meet those setbacks, that doesn't mean you have to move your house. You're just legal non-conforming. So R6 on the back, they're going to meet R6 setbacks. And then across the street is county. So that's a little bit different. They have their own set of development standards. So B2 and the R6 PUD do have different setbacks, but both of them have to comply with their corresponding setbacks. If you're interested in those numbers, kind of like in a chart format, I'd be happy to give you one.
Thank you. So that leads me to another question.
Okay.
So, the neighbors' houses have been existing there for a long time. Before under the B2, they were there prior to, majority of them were prior to the 1976 rezoning when this was brought in. Okay, so something happens, there's a tragedy or something, somebody's house, the neighbor's house burns, something goes on. That neighbor now has 6 months to replace that property before replace that residence, because under the B2, it would return back to commercial. That puts a hardship on those residents too. Because the way insurances work, you'll be lucky if you get paid in 6 months.
That's a concern, but that has nothing to do with this case.
Sure does.
Yeah, we're talking about rezoning R6 and this parcel. These are the issues that are with the code, but that's our job to fix that.
Well, then there's a third question. When the Hacienda de Salud was brought in, and there was a variance from R6 to RM for an institutional. Okay, that was a 27.2 acre lot that was reduced to, I think, 5 acres for the Hacienda de Salud or something like that. That, in that statement in the minutes there was an admission that the zoning of 1976 did not really look at this thing, and it was a mistake of the way they owned that property. We contend that when 1976, they rezoned San Pedro They just blanket rezoned everything, even though there were residents there on the front of Riverside, and they went 300 feet back and made those residences B2 also. So if it's your job, then you should be looking at how we can rezone all of Mill San Pedro, or Mill San Pedro, including the Sonic property, to an R6. Because right now, what you're doing is you're spot zoning a certain piece of property.
Zone B2 right now.
The whole thing is on B2, yes, no, not necessarily, yes.
And it's because our director just stated, when you're looking at rezoning and you have houses that existed, you grandfather in. So again, in regards to this project, we're looking at an R6 BDD overlay, which would be perfectly fine to do within the law.
I understand, but now you're creating an R6 zone surrounded by B2.
You guys are confusing me again. Didn't you just say where the existing houses and everything will remain B2?
Yes,
So they're not going to be changing the front to residential.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, just a little part of it.
What I'm actually saying is that
I'll zoom in here.
we are creating an R6 zone surrounded by B2 properties,
Yeah,
which is a spot. That's what I'm saying. So to correct this thing, I'm not arguing about for his variance or against his variance. I'm arguing for the rest of the neighborhood that the zoning in Mill San Pedro has to be looked at and corrected. You have to either R6 or keep it as B2. Because we have properties now that I don't believe the properties on Riverside Drive, the majority of those properties are not on South Riverside Drive on the south side. Those properties are not wide enough for commercial business. Commercial business will come in to buy properties there, they have to pick up 2 or 3 lots at the same time to put in anything decent. Because there's not enough, those lots are not big enough to turn around big trucks. And we showed it with the Sonic property that you could not access those properties with large delivery trucks. And therefore, and then the sequias and the laterals around each property and stuff like that, they reduce the size of your property. Therefore, I think this commission actually needs to look at rezoning everything from the corner of Upper Road, at least to Mr. Fulgenzi's property. Because the only business that's there right now is the gold storage. And so we should look at that, if that correct, we're gonna correct something, let's correct the whole thing.
So, it's correct, we look at the code. I think we spoke more than 2 minutes, so thank you for your comments.
Well, hold on, one more comment.
Commissioner Trujillo, if I may.
The last meeting that we were here, you stated as chairman of this board, this commission, that you would work with Mr. Fulgenzi and staff to develop something that would work here. Therefore, if you work with them, I'm asking you to recuse yourself from the.
I did not work with them, it was done between Rebecca and
And you don't have
Steve.
to recuse yourself.
Thank you so much for your comments.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo, if I may. So, couple of points there I just want to address to the commission. So there is this question of spot zoning. Does this fit into the box of spot zoning? And I just want to read the definition of spot zoning that we've passed through our code. It's the rezoning of a lot or a parcel of land for use incompatible with surrounding uses, not for the purpose or effect of furthering the comprehensive plan. In the case of Mr. Fulgenzi, we're looking at a property that on several sides is surrounded by residential housing. And then on the other side of Middle San Pedro is also surrounded by residential housing. So I think that especially with the comprehensive plan and the affordable housing plan, recognizing residential development as something that is the kind of development that we were trying to pursue within the city. And that's kind of why I had those subheadings on infill to kind of address the concern of spot zoning. So I had, that was my one one thing that I wanted to mention for this case, just to clear the air on that definition. Thank you.
Hearing this case. And I will call for a motion.
I'd like to ask a question first. Yes. From staff, Rebecca, the initial plat that we saw, it is for 6 homes. I have no problem with that. But was it just an R6 or was it an R6 PUD, or at that point was not the zoning ever taken into account?
Thank you, Commissioner Bustos, for that question. That's a great question. So that's what we're addressing now. So as far as we're concerned, the current zoning map reflects this parcel as B2. So the preliminary plat is reviewed for that subdivision of land for 6 lots on B2. Does that make sense?
Well, with that in mind, I'd like to make a motion that we do approve the zoning change for an R6. I am not comfortable with the PUD designation just because it gives, and I'm not trying to say that you're going to do anything like this, but it gives the developer permission basically to have smaller setbacks to actually build multi-family apartments if they want. And at this point, I think I'd be more comfortable with just an R6 with 6 homes, nice, just as he said, nice high level homes, and that's what we're looking at.
Wait a second.
I'll second that.
Discussion, so, I'd like to start on the discussion. I understand, Ms. Bustos, your concern. I think there's some control measures in there, the one that is prevent that from happening. We saw it come before this body for the final plat approval, but it also goes before the council for final plat approval. I think this is going to be important for his development because he is imposed a block wall. That he had a little bit of leeway in regards to setbacks. The setbacks are only going to affect him because they're inside this block wall. If it was open space, something different, I'd probably tend more to agree with you on that. So I would, again, it's a commission vote which way they want to go, but I don't, after reviewing this case very thoroughly, talking with Director Seawall, the R6PV does make a lot of sense for the development of that property. And again, what he does on there is going to be controlled by the final plat approval, which this body controls whether it moves on to the council or not for the options.
I understand that, Churchy Hill, but again, I'd like to still see it as a R6 just because of those setbacks requirements. I'd hate to see these high quality houses be 2 feet from each other. So.
Can you have the discussion from the commission?
I just have a question, and I wasn't at the last meeting, but when we talk about the block wall. Remember you talking about the block wall on the side of the China kitchen?
Yes, sir.
Area, 8 feet, I think.
It's just right in
And
front of
then,
the
and then it drops up to 6, because that's the whole lineal side. What about the opposite side?
same thing, both
Same
sides.
thing. So they're both the same.
Right.
And then the area along the Middle San Pedro Road also with a gate.
It'll be a gate, but it'll be pillars with a wrought iron. Yeah,
Okay.
and it'll be, it
I
won't be.
just wanted to make sure of that.
Yeah, there's a picture here. I can show you.
Right, yeah, I was looking at that, okay. So that's basically what you're gonna do.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other?
Can I just make a statement on that? The question, is that possible? Regarding the PUD, the reason we went with that is because of the fact of not allowing for mobile homes to be put in that. That was our reasoning for doing it.
So with that, I'll call for the question. The first and the second on the motion.
Yes, and I'm sorry, still typing.
I have a question. Do you plan to do more?
Yes, sir.
Good. We can use about 700 more.
We're looking at another area as well.
But we have plenty of land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that if you'll restate the motion to make clear that.
My motion is to send the approval to the city council on our street zoning of the piece of property that Mr. Genzi is asking for at this time.
Instead of.
Without the
PUD.
without the PUD,
Okay.
that's what I had.
Just want to be clear. All right.
And again, Rebecca, maybe you can just talk a little more about the PUD, if that designation would allow. We're gonna
Yeah.
keep the interaction amongst the commission at this point, we've already heard from the public. So we'll be between the commission and the rest of it, okay?
I believe, did you call for the question though? If you did, then you have to vote.
All right.
Once you call for the question, you have to vote.
Thank you.
Are you ready?
I put it up there if you guys need it.
Commissioner Borrego?
No. Or against the motion.
Okay. Commissioner Gwen?
Yes.
Commissioner Martinez? Commissioner Bustos?
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar? Chair Trujillo?
I'd like to say that's the motion.
Motion passes.
So this will now go to the council, what meeting will that go on? Is that to be done?
So that will depend on the meeting availability of the city council. So I would have to get with our city clerk to see what notification period we need and what our next available meeting would be.
I know there's so good, we know it's all the press.
Okay, I will.
We've seen some things like- Okay, so, Mr. Morganti, thank you very much. And I can say this, you can go to the council, you have every right to appeal this decision. And I'm sure that could be one of that progress. Or when you go to the council, you can appeal that decision and you haven't considered parts of it. That's your right. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you. And next on the agenda, we will open public hearing for 202310. The time is beyond the clock. It's in here.
7:02.
Okay, sleep, my wife's already asleep. And it's for variance by Leanne Sullivan, applicant, requests a variance for setbacks on the parcel zone B2 at 810 North Riverside Drive. You can see 1047-121-276-010. We've already sworn in the staff, the applicant, who is ever speaking, would you please stand so I can run it? Okay, the applicant, Leanne. So do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth? Okay, thank you so much. I will also ask the neighboring property owners to receive notice to stand. If there's any neighboring property owners here that wish to speak tonight? None? Okay. Any general public people that wish to speak tonight? No, you already sworn in? What's your name?
Emery.
Emery, you signed the sheet. Thank you, Emery. All right. So staff, you may present your case.
Okay, so we're looking at a variance case for setbacks. Silky Bell Corporation, represented by Leanne Sullivan, is requesting a setback variance at 810 North Riverside Drive, UPC 104-712-127-6010 in Espanola in a B2 zone. Pursuant to the City of Espanola Code Chapter 350 Zoning and Development and Chapter 294 Subdivision of Land in the City of Espanola Municipal Code, presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission in Chapter 90. The findings of fact, this application is made pursuant to the requirements of Chapter 350 in the City of Espanola Municipal Code. Legal notice has been made as required by Article 502 by posting notices on site and by sending letters to property owners within a 200-foot radius. Staff members have performed a reasonable inspection of the premise in order to determine that compliance with all land use regulations listed in this ordinance and all other applicable ordinances under Chapter 350 in the City of Espanola Municipal Code, federal, state, and laws are met. Post inspections may also be performed occasionally to ensure compliance in response to any complaints of a violation of the regulation of this ordinance. The granting of a city permit is not a waiver of other legal requirements. Necessary permits may be needed to meet other regulatory or reviewing agencies and legal requirements by federal, state, county, municipal, or covenants in order to lawfully engage in land use. The burden is upon the owner to meet all legal requirements. The property is zoned B2 General Commercial District. This commercial district is intended for the conduct of personal and business services in the general retail business of the community. Persons living in the community and in the surrounding trade territory require direct and frequent access. Traffic is generated by the uses and will primarily be passenger vehicles, and only those trucks and commercial vehicles required for stocking and delivering of retail goods. This is a 0.7 acre tract we're looking at. A DRT meeting has been held on behalf of this property. No substantial findings from the DRT meeting would oppose the applicant's request for the change in setbacks. The site ingress and egress is off Riverside Drive. Previously at the site, there was a warehouse that had setbacks differing from the existing B2 because it predated the zoning overlay. And so to staff recommendations, should the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of this request based on the aforementioned findings of fact, staff recommends that the following conditions of approval be included. Staff recommends approval under the conditions of pursuant to this application. The applicant must comply with the existing building requirements put forth by the construction industries divisions in the state of New Mexico and existing regulations in chapter 350 of the city of Espanola Municipal Code, as well as any other applicable ordinances in this code. Future development of the property must go before the Planning and Zoning Commission to determine compatibility with the granted setbacks. And staff recommends utilizing ROI setbacks because that zoning has already been determined compatible with mixed use. And so just going to go through some photos here. So here is the property in question off North Riverside. There's the KFC to kind of orient you. So this is kind of a visual representation of the existing development conditions. This is kind of to scale of so the current existing setbacks is in a B1 district, you have to be 50 feet from the rear of the property. Because it's L-shaped, there's a particularly narrow point of the property that would only allow for kind of what I estimated to be about 20 feet wide of developable space and about somewhere in the lines of 200 feet long. Okay. And so that's another picture of the lot. And so right down here is the existing, and we can just zoom in on the main structure for now. And then, so this is a B2 district so you need 20 feet in the front and 50 feet in the rear and 20 feet on the side, which are kind of particularly challenging with the morphology of this parcel in question. And so the staff recommendation is the ROI setbacks. ROI is residential, office, industrial. So kind of the closest thing that we have to mixed use, because there is both business in the front and residential in the back. Staff thought it would be the most compatible for the property in question, which would bring it down to 20 feet in the front, 15 in the rear, and 10 on the side. And then, so this is just kind of a highlight of the variance review criteria. The practical difficulty or unnecessary hardship is inherent to the lot and is peculiar because of its shape, size, topography, or some other characteristic of the lot, which differentiates it from other lots in the vicinity or the district. The hardship is created and is not self-imposed. The lot is L-shaped and cannot be utilized with the existing setbacks. And so everything else are the platting requirements set forth by staff. So I will go ahead back up to my staff report, and that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. See, well, before we get into questions for the next one from the commission, let me just read my homework here. So is there any commissioners that have a conflict of interest in this case? Mention everything. Next, I'll do communication. Okay, thank you. Any questions for staff and the commission on this project? That's said. We move on to applicant with the case. Thanks.
I really don't know what to say. Well, I'm Leanne Sullivan, Egg Sullivan, and my father started this building on this property back in the fifties. And he had it on, it was a medical complex. So when he retired, my brother took over the practice. And then when he retired, you know, everybody, business and SBO was fine, and tenants that we had, wear and tear on the building, so I didn't have a bridal shop on one end of it many, many years ago. So now we've demolished the buildings, they were in disrepair, we have the land tested and treated, and so now we want to, my sister Elaine and I are the last of the family. We lost our brother June 1st. So we want to see if we can get the setback adjusted so we can do something. We've had interested parties, but once they get the setbacks, it goes down. So, and Emery is a listing realtor, so he would have a little more information probably.
There might be some questions from the commission. Yes, I'm
sorry.
You have to speak a little louder. Yeah. Any questions from the commission for the things?
So you're just looking at selling the property, not developing it yourselves, right? Okay.
Any questions for staff? Thank you. Is Mr. Emery going to be part of your presentation then? Would you like him to speak?
Yes.
Okay. The attorney can be a part of the presentation then, so.
Good evening, thank you.
Your name, sir?
Emery,
And what's your last name? Oh, okay, thank you.
Anyway, so I've had this property listed for about 3 years. And we were doing real well. In fact, we were under contract to sell it. And a week before it was closing is when we got that 50-foot setback placed on the survey that killed that. So, and we have it listed, and every time we get inquiries, once they find out about the setbacks in the building area, they lose interest. It's a nice piece. We get a lot of interest. We got it advertised nationwide, so we do get a lot of interest.
And as the staff, city recognizes this as a hardship piece of property, and the shape of the property doesn't allow for the setback. So
Yeah, I think what I've seen today, the ROI is close to what it was before. Before it was 8.5 feet from the back lot line, which is the west line. So
Emery, how wide is that property? It's like an L, is it all pretty much the same width?
the part that comes off Riverside, that one is thicker or wider
Than
than
the other.
the narrow piece. And we've had people think of different businesses where they can come in from Riverside and then try to exit on Bedwell, West Bedwell.
any other questions for the family, James? Lance?
The only question I have is, I see the 50-foot setback, so that's basically what we'll. So the front part of the building with the 20-foot setbacks, that wouldn't change, right? I'm just wondering how it would affect the other commercial property on the area.
So it would still be 20 feet.
So it would be just like when your father had his practice. Which we would all visit very frequently. Children.
So there was a conflict.
They're all gone. So, yeah, in fact, I served with Lindy on P and Z years ago. So, anyway, no, I just wanted to make sure that, just because there are, basically, it's gonna be 2 commercial areas. Now, is Fairview Pharmacy zoned ROI or are they B2?
I would have to look. I think they're B2, unless they changed it, but I think they're B2. Yeah, so
Oh.
yeah, it's not a change in zone. It's just, we're utilizing, so in this case, we're utilizing. Yeah, so it's a setback variance using the ROI setbacks because they've been deemed legally compatible with mixed use surrounding.
Yeah, the only thing that would change would be the side and the rear setback.
Yeah, the side and the rear. But the front is still the same.
Any other questions for me? So, I thought it was amazing that we tried to sell this property. That doesn't mean that the owner, the new owner, can't come for a variance even further still. So hopefully they understand that. I know I can speak for many people in Espanola, we want to do this, is there?
We understand that.
But it'd be nice to have that, those setbacks at least.
That would be a nice, closer.
Any questions with that? Any questions from the audience or the general thing, right? Okay, thanks, Eric. Yes,
I moved to go ahead and accept the variance.
okay, we have a motion on the floor to accept the variance.
I'll second.
Second, okay, any discussion? Okay, any question? Oh, discussion, okay.
Commissioner Borrego,
For the moment.
Commissioner Glenn. Commissioner Martinez. Commissioner Martinez. Your vote. Vote yes. Commissioner Bustos,
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar,
For the motion.
Chair Trujillo,
For the motion.
motion passes.
Thank you. Any process? Thank you folks so much. Good luck on your property.
Great.
We're here the last, public hearings. Do you want to take a 10-minute break, 5-minute break? Just go to the bathroom or use water or how?
Okay.
Sure.
You want to do a break or is it both? Take a break?
Okay, fine. Well, okay, let's go.
Good, let's go. Let's go. Right. You're coming in with an clear sense.
That's great.
Yes. I know that is.
At this point in time, now.
Yeah.
Yeah, what-
7:17.
7:17, I will open the public hearing
Let me.
for case number 2023-11. It is by Mr. Joe Salazar. Again, first variance for wall height. And another 25 documents. You can see one that's 0.1, that's 1.1, that's 2.5, 2.8. And Mr. Salazar, if you would have a seat, they're not up yet, so maybe after the staff. Yeah, I'm gonna swear you in, so. That's all we're saying. Yeah, oh, that's your second, we can stand for that.
Oh, wait, oh, you're hiding.
You swear.
For me?
that you get the truth? I do say, thank you, Mr. Joe Salazar. Staff, you can please. Or is anybody in the public who wants to speak on these things? Okay, would you please stand to the straight? You swear affirm that the testimony you will give the truth? Thank you, sir. And then about you, are you here to speak on behalf of the states?
I don't know what it's, where
It's
it's,
on a block wall, there.
Oh, no, that's fine.
That being said, then, staff, you present your case.
Okay, so we are looking at a variance case at 1125 Milagro. Joe Salazar is requesting approval for a cinder block wall on the backside of the property at 11205 Milagro, UPC 104-812-315-218 in an R6 zone in Espanola 87532. Pursuant to the City of Espanola Code Chapter 350 zoning and development and Chapter 294 subdivision of land in the City of Espanola Municipal Code presented by the Planning Commission, Chapter 90. This application is made pursuant to the requirements of Chapter 350 of the City of Espanola Municipal Code. Legal notice has been made as required by Article 502 by posting meeting notices on site and by sending letters to property owners within a 200-foot radius. Staff members have performed a reasonable inspection of the premises in order to determine that compliance with all land use regulations listed in this ordinance and all other applicable ordinances under Chapter 350 in the City of Espanola Municipal Code, federal, state, and laws are met. Post inspections may also be performed occasionally to ensure compliance in response to any complaints of a violation of the regulation of this ordinance. The granting of a city permit is not a waiver to other legal requirements. Necessary permits may be needed to meet other regulatory or reviewing agencies and legal requirements by federal, state, county, municipal, and covenants in order to lawfully engage in land use. The burden is upon the owner to meet all legal requirements. The property is zoned R6 urban residential. The R6 urban residential district is established in which the principal use of land is for single family residences. The regulations of this district are intended to protect existing and proposed residential areas within a minimum lot size of 7,500 square feet and to encourage the development of lots that meet this minimum lot size. The regulation of this district are intended for those persons desiring a more traditional subdivision setting. The regulations are intended to discourage any use that, because of this character, would interfere with the residential nature of this district. The existing site is a 0.262 acre tract. A DRT meeting has been held on behalf of this property with no substantial findings that would oppose the applicant's request for a change in wall height. The wall would be 61 inches on top of a 24-inch existing current rock wall, making the height of the proposed wall approximately 7 feet. Should the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of this request based on the aforementioned findings of fact, staff recommends that the following conditions of approval be included. Staff recommends approval under the following conditions. Pursuant of this application, the applicant must comply with existing requirements put forth by the CID and the state of New Mexico and existing regulations under Chapter 350 in the City of Espanola Municipal Code, as well as any other applicable ordinances within the code. And the wall may not exceed 8 feet if this variance is granted. So just some photos that we have here. This is the property that we're looking at, 1125. And so I just kind of put some red boxes around the wall that we're looking at. And here, this is all kind of one contiguous wall right here. And so I just highlighted some of the variance review criteria. The granting of the requested variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of a substantial property right of the applicant, which is possessed by other owners in the vicinity. And then the application is what follows. You guys can probably see this a little bit better in your packet, but it's kind of illustrated that the 24-inch current rock wall and the 61-inch proposed wall on top of that. I think, oh, and there's the outline of the property with the topo. All right, well, thank you, Commissioner Trujillo. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Yeah. Any questions from staff? I mean, from the commission to staff? Any questions by the applicant or staff? Yes, down there, Joe? No. Any questions from the general public or the property and staff? No, any questions from staff? Oh, no. Okay, thank you. Before we have the applicant say his case, can we have in the minutes somewhere stated that Commissioner Joe somewhere has left and is in the audience?
Yes, sir, and he needs to formally recuse himself to say that he's recusing himself, so I can put it in the minutes as well. If we can.
So Joe, you stand and recuse yourself from this vote and also state this.
Hey, Commissioner, recusing myself from this hearing, change myself.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Joe Salazar and I live on 1125 Coyote Valley. And purpose, I'm requesting the variance of wall height. Currently, I have a 130-foot wall. It's approximately it's a two foot height wall, 24 inches. On top of that, right now, I have a cedar fence. But, see, wood rots, it gets old and, it's already. I've already had to make adjustments to add more wood to hold it up. But, that's not the only purpose why I'm asking for this change. Also, because, I got a neighbor that has a driveway that crosses right through there and creates a lot of dust for us in our property. And I've spoken to him about this and he says, if you want to put a block wall, that's great with me. And he said that he wouldn't be able to make it tonight, but we have an understanding that he agrees with what we're trying to do. So in anyways, what I want to do is add like cinder block, 8x8x16 sides. And I'll probably go about 7 blocks high, which would come out to about an additional 56 inches to the 24 inches that already exists, the rock wall. So, then that brings it up to 82 inches, somewhere around there. But I was talking to the gentleman that's gonna be doing the work, and he said, Joe, we gotta add a cap to that. So we're gonna be adding a 4-inch cap is what he's recommending that I add on top of that. So I had proposed at the time before I talked to the contractor, I had said 61 inches. Well, that might just go a little bit higher, but it's gonna still be under the 8-foot wall that's allowed. So it'll be in the range of maybe 87 inches, lower 80s. So that's what I'm requesting for. That's why I'm asking for this variance. It also serves a safety purpose too. We've been having a lot of, I don't know, the rest of the city, especially in our area. The people are living up there in those apartments up by the high school. We have a lot of break-ins in our area. In fact, they broke into our neighbors across the road. They're both 8 years old and they broke into their house while they were home. And every house, and we've all been affected. My catalytic converter was taken off my car. The neighbor, the one that's right next to me, he lost his catalytic. He just had a large amount of break-ins and it's difficult. So everybody's securing the properties. And that's why I want to make that in addition to securing my property. So that's what my request is. I look forward to seeing how you vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from the commissioner? Just a question, Mr. Salazar, the block will be, is it going to be a face block or is it going to be stucco or just regular
It's
block?
going to be a colored, a brown block. Yeah, that's what the contractor said. And he's already in the process of purchasing the material.
Any other questions? Staff, any questions?
No, none from staff.
The audience, the applicant, agree or we would say notice. With that, thank you, start that. Have a seat. Okay, Leroy, you can go and say your name and say your case.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I am in fully support.
Excuse me,
of
Leroy.
the
can you-
variance recommendations
State your name.
according to this.
Lopez.
Yes.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
He's my cousin too.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so pleasant.
In support of the variance, request by Joe Salazar for the height of the wall. At 1125, Gallo. I'd like to add just a couple of comments on this. There are a lot of burglary style property in that area. And as when I go to my property, we are put up on the fence and it's gated. So he's well like track.
Thank you, Bruce. Are there any questions from anybody, the gentleman just spoke? Okay. Thank you so much. This time I'll go to public comment. Is there a motion on this matter? Yes, sir. Motion to approve. Second. Yeah. We have a vote. Question.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Borrego,
For the motion.
Commissioner Glenn. For the motion. Commissioner Martinez.
For the motion.
Commissioner Bustos,
Yes.
Commissioner Salazar, oh, excuse me, Chair Trujillo. Sorry, Commissioner.
I vote no.
Motion passes, Mr. Chair.
Great.
7:30.
Okay, go back in the stall.
Practically, that's why I'm not married, I'm related to everybody.
So, this time we're gonna move, into matters from the commission, so. Any matters from the commission, Any- have anything to say or discuss?
I just have one other quickly, and this is, has to do with the posting.
Sure.
The posting on this, Fulgenci property. I was confused at first when I saw that sign because it's on Richardson Town property. But I see no reason why it couldn't have been posted in front of the property, where the residence is. I mean, there's plenty of room there. I just don't understand why it wasn't posted there. That's just a comment for future. Okay, because it does, promote some confusion. I would have thought that, I know Richard, and I asked him, I said, are you going to be developing your piece of property? He said, nope, I have no idea why they.
Yeah, so if you're passing by and a lot of times you can't really read them.
So,
Yeah.
I just got a text that the sound cut out on the.
oh, I'm unmuted. Let me try muting and then unmuting. I don't know if, yeah, maybe ask them if they can hear it. Okay.
Okay, we don't have to stop, but just.
Any other matters from the commission?
Yes, we had had a discussion, I don't know if we had it through texts or through emails or what, about meeting from Thursday nights to Wednesday, and then I'm confused saying, well, that's not gonna occur because of whatever reason, so.
Sure.
I think you were, or anyway, I was prepared to be here on Wednesday, so I'm just curious what occurred.
Commissioner Salazar, thank you for asking. So what had happened is I had approached the clerk's office, and I had asked for a meeting date change. They were going to change all of their regular meeting dates all at once. It turns out that they had not completed the resolution, so we were declined to change our date on the kind of master list of regular meeting dates. And we have to come up with our own resolution because they will not be drafting a resolution for all of the regular meeting committees. So right now, I'm currently working with the city attorney, Charles Rennick, to navigate that process now that we've been declined to draft up a resolution individually for this commission. That's what happened.
Has to be passed by council.
That is correct.
Sounds.
Great.
Until then, Director Sewell, when you're talking to the attorney, maybe we can call for a special meeting.
Sure.
On that Wednesday, advertise it,
Mhm.
and then just have a cancellation of our regular meeting.
Okay.
Until so we get things back on track.
Okay.
So we can keep a post on that, so we can keep the commission.
Yep.
Keep this schedule around and so.
Right. I apologize for the confusion. There
Mr.
was.
Chairman, will you be meeting on Wednesdays then?
Well, we're gonna issue a meet with the attorney, and we hope that he'll let us do a special meeting on the Wednesdays, and then we'll just cancel the regular.
We're trying to work with Rebecca's school schedule.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just want people to be
Sorry.
here in person on a Wednesday.
Oh, you got me.
No, because I do the Santa Fe governing body on Wednesdays.
Would you, oh,
I can do it from Zoom. It's a little
Oh.
harder, but I can do it that way. Just to let you know, not that I'm critical to your meetings.
Well, this was Rebecca graduates in December, right?
fingers crossed. I have like one more signature to collect. So fingers crossed for me if the powers that be.
The signature for you.
Yeah, for my thesis.
Mr. Joe, that's anything to say there? Okay.
That being said, let's go into approval of the minutes, review and approval of the July 13th minutes.
I just have one correction, Elizabeth,
Yes, ma'am.
on page 2. Under Pedro Valdez, he lives on Barbie Street, Barbee, not RB.
Hey, this is Arby's.
Sorry, I
No, I know.
I'm not as familiar with the streets. I'm sorry. I'll fix it.
Okay,
I got one on page 8. And the second paragraph, I think they're undiscovered, they go.
Is my name spelled wrong?
Yep.
Oh,
Sure, yeah, page 8.
She does have a K in her name.
that's true. It's been spelled
Yeah,
wrong.
she does have a
several
K.
times. I think it was REBBAH.
he was right.
So was that right? Okay. Got one.
I've gotten it spelled wrong so many times, they don't even notice anymore.
You're spelled like, right?
Yeah.
The
it was
middle
down
right.
from the bottom.
So any other questions on the minute, any other changes to minutes? Okay. Then we'll approve.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Second, okay, all in favor?
I,
Thank you. Board of Business. Matters with staff.
I think,
May 20th.
I think
Oh, no, that's not on this agenda.
it's not on the agenda. I don't think that we moved to approve them, but I did attach them, but they didn't make it onto the agenda, so. You guys have a copy, I'll put it out with next month's as well, yeah. Not a lot from staff, I will keep you guys informed, as the Wednesday / special meeting or regular meeting, however that meeting goes with Charles, shakes out. I'll keep you guys posted on that. And then just forms of communication. Do we prefer the text thread? Do we prefer the email? Do we like both? I kind of,
Text when you get for me,
okay,
yeah, it's just faster.
yeah,
and the, as far as the agenda. Well,
I'm still not getting emails, so fast.
okay.
So, in regards to, staff, you heard tonight from a constituent that, man, we need to work on this code, and I can't agree with them more, okay? We just brought up, what do we have our workshop starting again, working on the code? So I'm trying to find a good time where the staff can handle that load. And you need to just let me know when that's gonna be. And, really, been thinking about a lot of things we can discuss, a lot of things we can cover. And I'm gonna throw something out there for you folks to research and think about. But that B2 corridor we have on Riverside Drive, we really should look at some areas we wanna, suggest to the council, they change that to mixed use. Where we handle commercial, we handle residential, we handle all sorts of things in mixed use. And,
Do you mean ROI?
I'm sorry?
Do you mean ROI or introducing a new zone?
Use. Yeah, and we can talk about that. You're the planning and zoning. What corridor is that? It's just through the corridor. All the corridor, because I thought you said corridor. Yeah, corridor. Oh, we have some parts that should be just commercial, like for example, the Walmart area, you know, and this. Walgreens area, but when you get on that end of San Pedro, makes a lot of sense to have a lot more going on. We all house next to
So like for the telephone company that you got houses on both sides. Sure.
Chair Trujillo, just, I'm not sure if you're aware, but previous planning commission, they had a case come before them from Middle San Pedro to change, I think, 8 properties from B2 to R6. The previous, the previous planning commission, shot it down, and so I have that file. If any of you guys want copies of it, I could send it over to you guys.
The reason they did it, well, I don't know why they shot it down, but the reason they wanted to do that, because as Mr. Archibald said, you know, it's 300 feet from the street in, and a lot of the properties that makes them completely B2.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, and it's.
There's a lot of corrections that need to be made, and again, I think that, the best way is to. Have a plan from the commission, something that we see as a vision that will comply with our comprehensive plan, our thoughts of the city.
And then, of course, we hold public hearings, for them to come in and tell us what they think. And then at that point, we should have the council. But I like to work on some of those issues, you have to give Rebecca a big hand of applause here, and some taking on this kind of a shark pit with little staff. And the same to your staff for hanging in there and working hard as they can to keep things going. So I don't want to put any undue burdens on you folks, but we appreciate communication saying, hey, we're getting some water, we're getting some air here, we know we can handle a few projects, that's what we can do.
Yeah.
And I would really like to start working on some of those things. I was asked earlier, did our minor subdivision plan ever get approved that we did last year in September? Sadly, no, but I think Rebecca's gonna try to rekindle that. And so we can get it before the council, get it approved, it would be a great advancement for Espanola, to have that minor subdivision. Approved. Yes.
I want to thank Rebecca, the first hearing that we had for Mr. Fulgenzi, all the attachments that you added to it and stuff, instead of we having to go look through the master plan or that was nice. If we can have it like that, it makes it a lot easier for our reading. And we don't have to go,
Digging.
a big pile of paper that Right. Thanks for doing that. It made it a lot easier to read and understand.
Great. I'll keep that in my toolkit. My sweaters. Feedback is, I was trying to explain to Chairman Trujillo that I had an Argentinian mountain guide that was like, feedback is a sweater. You fold it up and you put it in your drawer and then you take it out. And I still don't understand what that means, but feedback is a sweater. So.
Motion to adjourn.
We don't even need one. You want the folder back?
Take your
Yes.
papers out of your folders and give the folders back.
Yes.
Spoken before the.
I know, when I was making these packets, I thought of you. I was just like, I hope that this like passes the Gwyn test.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna do some notes. I know, I ran out of folders. I'll give you one.
I just downloaded mine. I didn't get it. I downloaded it.
Oh, there you go.
All these people, we move back to that, double-sided, even just the numbers, we know what's 1, 2, 3.
I think I can do page numbers.
So you have to match and stuff.
I think we're improving them, right?
Getting better.
We're getting better. There's a system forming.
Yeah. Somebody needs to pay them.
You did a great job.